Well, we appreciate you guys coming here today, and thank you very much for joining us. My name is Todd McGreevy, and I'm one of the Central Committee members for Iowans For Accountability. And just a little backstory for you, here in Scott County, where I've lived for the last 20 plus years, you know, the County Board of Supervisors has generally been the quiet government that no one really pays much attention to, if you will. And this has served the establishment and the status quo very well. The result is a history of so-called leadership that is predominantly posturing as interested parties, but in reality is an institutional rubber stamp, exhibiting very little due diligence. And thanks to the decades of abdication of common sense engagement, is what we're missing here in Scott County, the government has grown beyond its means. And it's been chasing agendas, overburdening taxpayers, and chasing agendas that are not in the best interest of the county's independence and prosperity, in our humble opinion. So what are free people to do? Well, fortunately in Scott County, we do have options. And Michael Elliott's going to explain to you here briefly how the Iowans For Accountability were formed. And generally speaking, the big picture is, historically, the Scott County Board of Supervisors has avoided scrutiny, they've surrendered authority, and they've grown government. And we propose as a new non-political party organization to be a contrast, a refreshing contrast to that political process. And we want to advocate scrutiny, protect taxpayers, and shrink government. And so how did Iowans For Accountability get formed? Mr. Elliott is the chair of Iowans For Accountability, and he can share with you, see I'm out of sync here, so this is good, we're doing a dry run. We have today here, we're fortunate to have three people who stepped up to be stewards for Scott County, who are taking the time. You always, in my opinion, you always want candidates who don't want the job, and these are three guys who don't want the job. And we have Mr. Jesse Anderson right here, John Green, and John Riley. There is a rap sheet on all these folks, a little bio, background on them. They're certainly going to be able to answer questions after our presentation. And we really do appreciate them stepping up to run for office, because this is no small matter. And meanwhile, Mr. Elliott is the chair of Iowans For Accountability. And Michael, if you could share with us why IFA?
Sure. Iowans For Accountability was created to allow for the average citizen to engage in the political system outside of the standard two-party system. In Scott County specifically, as you can see, the current system has allowed unacceptable government growth and unaffordable expenditures. So there's definitely room for improvement. And so we've taken it on ourselves as average citizens to form a political organization outside of that two-party system. Under the state rules, under Chapter 44 of the Iowa Code, it allows individuals with a political movement or political organization to create what's called a non-party political organization, or an NPPO for short. And you can get that information either in the Iowa Code, like I said, Chapter 44, or in the Secretary of State's website regarding forming parties or conventions for nominating candidates to get on the ballot. An NPPO allows us to actually hold a convention and nominate candidates for county level positions, and that's just what we did we had three conventions, August 12th, August 20th, and August 24th. The first two we were unable to secure half of the precincts represented. What we required was half of the precincts to be represented in Scott County in order to have an official convention. Since Scott County has 63 precincts, that would require us to have at least a minimum of 32 precincts represented. The first two conventions we held, August 12th and 20th, we were unsuccessful. However, on the 24th, the day before our filing deadline, we accomplished having 39 of the 63 precincts represented and a total of 71 individuals there as delegates to support the IFA movement. I guess go on beyond that then.
Well, I think the other important part about this is that, you know, the IFA movement started with transparency. You know, we're walking the walk, if you will. The entire convention, because this is the first time this has ever been done in Scott County as an NPPO has ever been formed.
In the state of Iowa.
Perhaps in the state of Iowa. That's a good question. And so subsequently, it really kind of rattled the status quo in the establishment. Weren't expecting it, and in fact, it was thwarted by one of the major parties. They tried to contest it and failed on all counts. But what I'm talking about is the transparency. We videotaped the convention. It's up on YouTube. If you just go to YouTube and type in Iowans For Accountability, Davenport, something like that. It's also at the IFA website, scottcountyifa.com. It's about 2 hours of video, actually. And so it's watching the sausage being made, with regular Joes, regular people from all these different precincts getting together and figuring out what they have in common, and that is to hold their government accountable, and so we have a more prosperous and free county than we have right now. So I thought it was an excellent event because I met a whole bunch of people I'd never met before. It wasn't the usual suspects, a lot of new faces. I think it was a healthy exercise, and we actually think this could be a template for other counties. Right. That if we become, we're the guinea pig for this.
Right. And just to kind of add to that, our convention, we wanted to, like Todd said, to make sure there was a lot of transparency, but we also wanted to make sure that the average person had a voice and could express any kind of opinion or idea that they might have. So we made sure we kept the rules loose enough to allow open discussion, more like an open forum as we went forward with that convention. And I think if you have any familiarity with the two-party system, generally it's cut and dry, and there's not a lot of room for debate or discussion. So we're, I believe, a vehicle in Scott County that allows a lot better discussion of what the actual issues are going on in Scott County, and in that way we can create solutions for those types of issues in Scott County.
We had fun with oversized Post-it notes at the meeting, actually, so we could get our agendas on the table and brainstorm. That's the kind of stuff we did at the meeting, so everybody had a say and input on what we're talking about. High property taxes, unchecked spending, it's going to fall, and so forth. So that's just a little relic, if you will, hopefully something historic. Up on the screen, you have resources that we, Iowans For Accountability, consider as we're, evaluating, how we want to move forward with proposals and so forth. It includes the U.S. Constitution, the Iowa Constitution. Of course, you have to consult the Iowa Code often, and then there's the Scott County Code of Ordinances. And so this PowerPoint will be up on the web with all the links. So if anybody wants to avail themselves of this, they can access it. And there's a great place down in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, called limitedgovernment.org, and they print Iowa constitutions. I think it's one of the few places in the state you can actually get them, so we encourage people to check them out. And back to the big picture, and we're going to round robin this because these guys definitely have had say in all this, and I'm just the PowerPoint jockey right now. So I just want to remind everybody of these big picture concepts. Avoiding scrutiny is, I think, one of the biggest ones that's gotten us in the problems that you're going to see here, is that a lot of people just don't know what's going on with their county. And a prime example would be the SEC 911. How many of you here have heard of SEC 911? How many of us here at this table had heard of it until we got involved in this race? Diane, do you want to take it from here? Maybe share with folks
that much
the
money.
overview. Really what's on the screen.
Well, it's $10 million in equipment bonds, $10 million in a building bond, and then there's also another $6 million that's been received in grants. So the initial cost of it is $26 million. The debted part, two $10 million bonds, that's a 19-year bond for $28 million between the two.
But what did they mean? That's
What did
not
they
a $10 million building going up out there, is it?
Yes, the building was 7.31, something like that.
Shit,
And
there's not a building in
And
Davenport worth that much money.
who owns this building?
the county,
Well, the
Yes,
new
no.
28E intergovernmental organization called Scott County Emergency Communications Center, aka SEC 911, which is made up of a board of intergovernmental agencies from Davenport, Bettendorf, Davenport. City of Davenport bonded for the cost of the building, which bypassed the county's involvement of actually having a say in the bond, but the county is the taxing authority that is actually collecting the taxes and paying the debt. The nuance here is that it creates a special levy not subject to caps on taxes and no ceiling on future indebtedness. They created a public safety authority, which by statute you can create. It was the toe and the tent. Then after that, they created emergency, what did it call?
The intergovernmental agreement was necessary in order to have the cooperation between Davenport, Bettendorf, Medic, the EMA, that's the Emergency Management Authority, and
Is that federal?
Scott County.
Is that federal?
No.
That's
That's where
Iowa.
they created the Scott County Emergency Management Agency, right? Is that what you're referring to?
The
Is
EMA.
there
It wouldn't
any
have been
federal
possible.
presence?
In the form of grants.
Hello?
Oh, yeah, we know that.
Believe me.
Department of Homeland Security is
Well,
pushing
they had the
this
judge
concept on
down there
communities.
and off the record was commenting on the fact that no contempt orders could be issued without a